Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah.
Andrew Renner, you're reviewing this thing, and then you roped in two Drivatar buddies here with Ben Reeves and Matt Miller.
That's all we actually are.
And Jeff
Drivatars.
Cork. He's actually live streaming Assassin's Creed as this is being
Oh,
recorded.
that's true. Yeah, check out that.
Yeah, this is my racing team. Real short. Forza Horizon is my favorite racing series out there right now.
Really?
It's blend of arcade racing, over the top, chaotic track designs, with those tuner options that you find in your simulations, and that kind of stock of cars too.
Yeah.
Creates a really compelling mixture for me, and Forza Horizon 4 is the best entry in that series yet.
Really?
So, yes. And a lot of it has to do with just how much content is offered. It is, it's like the everlasting gobstopper of racing games. You finish a race, you get 3 more. You take down a billboard, you find out you got another 200 to get. You go on a new track, and it's like you have 500 more to find. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how much content is here in this open world. In the open world itself, set in Britain now, is stunning. Beautiful, right? Like very scenic. And at first it looks like these fields don't look like there's going to be much action on them, right? Like it's just a big farm field. But then you realize, like, next thing you know, you go across that field at 180 miles an hour, and then you're launching off a mountain, flying 600 feet in the air. The track designs are great and feature all 4 seasons. So they recreated the open world 4 times.
Right. More
each
than a
season.
palette swap. Yeah.
Yeah,
Much
like,
more than a palette swap.
It's, fall brings the beauty you'd expect with the leaves and all that. Summer, it's like you'd expect there's maybe dry terrain and the sun shining, but there's a lot of rain, puddles. Spring brings that as well.
England.
And then winter, it's like Game of Thrones, that ominous saying of winter is coming. It's
A lot of White Walkers.
It's crazy
Yeah,
how many
it's insane.
fantasy zombies
but
there are.
so you let's say you take on a race, you could go back there in a different season and it'll have a different identity, and that the elements from the season will make it more challenging.
and
It was
different,
cool.
different
Easier.
cars that you're going to want to use there.
Yeah. For sure.
Like a snowmobile.
Yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
quite.
I haven't seen those. It was cool because like I was on my way to a destination and it was winter, and I was like used to driving that way, but then it was winter and I realized like, oh wait, this lake is frozen over. I can now drive across it. So that was kind of fun.
That's so much fun. Did you feel like, as a huge fan of Forza Horizon 3, I loved that environment so much. I loved Australia. And I feel like with the announcement of the setting, it was like, England is lovely, but doesn't seem as much fun or as cool as Australia. But the weather thing just pushes it over the top.
Oh yeah, you like Reeves says, you discover new things with the different seasons. At least winter brings new elements. Right?
Yeah.
There-
But there's like beaches, castle areas, small. There's nothing like a metropolitan area, but there are little kind of quaint towns.
There's a lot of
that you go
really cute
into.
towns that are like, oh, if I was on vacation, I would love to visit this place.
There's a really compelling juxtaposition of the idyllic scenery with the intensity of the racing that I really like in this game. That was present in Forza Horizon 3, but I think they've really doubled down on it here, and especially in like some of those showcase races, you're going through just these gorgeous locales, but ridiculous stuff is happening. You've got dirt bikes jumping over you, and
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil all of them, but
Yeah.
they're like
There's a hover
those
ship.
Those are some of my favorites, actually.
they're really good.
You're always like racing something crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of something crazy, tell me if this is a spoiler, Renner. I'll hint towards it. But you said there's one mission that's very
they've-
Xbox themed.
Yeah, they've released footage of it. and
What
all
is
that.
this?
It's
Break
Halo.
it down.
There's a Halo track where you're in a Warthog. You're playing as Master Chief, but they changed the terrain. You see the Halo in the background, and there's Halo music and commentary and ships
Commentary?
and vehicles and stuff in the terrain. Those energy shields, all that stuff. You're
Oh,
seeing all
cool.
that on the track.
But also, it's still England?
Yes, and they comment
Yeah,
on it,
Halo's
though.
just England. Weren't you paying attention to the
Oh my
lore?
gosh, I
But
missed
they,
that.
they comment on it like they have come back in time to this period, and they're like, "What is going on here?"
So Master Chief is like the new Jeremy Clarkson for this?
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
what the
Yeah.
hell is going on?
But the funny thing about just how beautiful this world is, and they have like these landmark locations you go to, and they're like, "Oh, this landscape is sacred," like people travel here to take photos on it. And then the next race, you're just driving over
driving through the walls.
it. Or it's
Music
like,
blaring.
it's like, look at this old church. It's been here for centuries, and it's like, can you break the billboard on top of it?
I have my time with the game has gotten across to me the sense that Forza Horizon 4 is like the the most popcorn racing game I've ever played.
But it's still simmy enough, like Reiner was talking about.
It can
you know?
be. It can be. If you turn
think
up the difficulty, it can be.
I think it can be, but I think the experience that most people are going to have is that if you just go in and you let the game carry you along, you're going to have the best time that you can have with it.
And you can literally do that by just like hitting, was it left on the D-pad, at least in 3, and just give you the next thing
you
to
can
do.
you can do that, but you can also just like go to whatever's closest on your map. Like, oh, that says it's new. I'll go over and do that thing. There's a lot of meters and progressions and stuff that you could get kind of lost in. And in my first couple hours of playing the game, I was tempted to get too involved with that stuff, and it started getting me frustrated.
The Destiny spirit kicked in.
Well, I was like, how should I maximize? How should I speed up my progression and all that kind of stuff? And after a couple hours, I realized that was probably the wrong approach for this game, and that I was going to have more fun if I just abandoned myself to the insanity of I'm just going in and I'm racing and I don't know what I'm doing or when I'm doing it, and I don't know what that icon means, and I don't know what all these meters are, and I get to spin a gambling wheel. Sure, let's do it. I don't know why did that happen. Who knows?
No, that's how you feel most of the time.
To be fair, yeah.
Just to be clear, though, Miller, when you're talking about a gambling wheel in a racing game, I think of that Need for Speed. Like, this isn't like some microtransaction.
There's no microtransactions, but it is a wheel. Okay,
but it's not on the wheel.
No, not on the wheel.
Not on the wheel.
When you level up or complete specific things, you get to spin a wheel for a random prize.
Right. Okay.
That prize could be a car, currency, or horns for your car.
Yes.
So
Like Cucaracha?
They have the
sorts of
Halo
crazy
theme,
stuff.
Sea of Thieves.
Hey, Steph, I need to know.
The
Is the
wedding
Halo
theme?
So
you for your horn, you get the wedding theme.
Is the Halo theme, is it like, does it sound like a horn?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
That's so stupid. I love it.
So I have the Killer Instinct one right now. But then
good.
you could also get, they obviously really understood how popular Fortnite was. So they take your driver out of the car,
No.
where you get outfits for your driver and dance moves, including floss.
Wait a minute. So can you run around the world
Nope.
outside the car?
It's just when you win a race, he's out of the car,
you
or
have
she's
like
out of
a
the car.
fanfare. You do,
And you
yeah.
see them dance.
Yeah, like a little
Any
showcase
loading
moment.
screens, you usually like dancing in front of your car.
Looking like an idiot.
Christ, what's happening? Riz, I heard you mention something that I loved about the last one too, but it is jarring. The idea that you can like put in your name. It's like choosing a custom keychain or something at a gift store, so they will constantly refer to you as Ben. Does everybody have that?
Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, it says Andrew when I turn it on.
Yeah, it
Hey,
says Matt
Ben,
to me.
we just did this.
Yeah.
So unnatural.
Yeah, well, and just given the amount of times they do it too, and I can't
It's constant.
figure out if it's just because I'm like not used to that in a video game, or if it's like I think they're overusing it a little.
They're
bit.
proud of it.
They really are.
They're really proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real clear. The storytelling in this game is not the reason you want to play Forza Horizon.
You just got to unlock
4.
the festivals. Is that the idea again?
Well, here, there are, hold on to the table so you don't fall. There are 26 different campaigns in this game.
what the hell? Call of Duty can't even get one.
So what Miller's talking about there being so much stuff going on at once, there'll be a campaign for drift racing, a campaign for country racing, street racing. You just keep adding onto them. But 4 of them are story-based. One of the stories, it's a 10-part story, so 10 races, is you're a stunt driver in a movie.
That's been
So-
some of my favorite ones so far.
those
I
are
love
fun.
Stuntman.
This one you're going to love. It's a top 10 list of the greatest racing games of all time. And it starts at number 10, and it's like, number 10 is Outrun. And they start talking about the game Outrun and why it's great. And then the race you go on simulates what Outrun is right. They have that car. It's not changing the graphics, but it is.
What?
And then the next race will be number 9, and they'll be like, number 9 is Daytona, USA.
Wait, so different licenses?
Yeah, but they
That's
don't.
crazy.
They talk about them, but they don't have the actual content.
So-
Sometimes the same car, right? Like if it's like a
It's
shared
like
car.
little homage races.
This is amazing. So in a Forza Horizon game, they talk about Gran Turismo?
They talk about. Well, I don't want to give away the top 10 list, but yeah, there's. Of
course
they
it's in
talk
there.
about one of them Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
and you do a Smuggler's Run run.
This is the best I've ever heard. That is so fun.
And then
Number
there's-
1 is what, Forza Horizon 4?
But then there's. But so those are really cool. Like I did all 10 of those in a row. Whereas
Yeah.
other events, I'm bouncing between them. Another one is renting the fastest cars in the world. So you get to experience just like going 200 miles an hour in a car that will cost you'll eventually get for like $3 million. currency in the game, but you get to test drive it, right?
Yeah.
So
And
these
the sense
little
of speed's really good too. Like I
Oh,
just was
it's
like hauling
amazing.
across like a field, and I'm like, this is too fast. And I'm
visually
only at like 75%.
racing mechanics, just the performance of it all is fantastic.
Hang on, is this the best game ever made? You guys? It's really
You know,
sounding
one of the
great.
other things I really appreciated about the way they structured it is the dynamic difficulty options that they give you.
Okay.
You have at the beginning of any racing event the option to change out details of how many things the game is doing to help you. And depending on how you do that, boosts how quickly you progress. So you can set, the most obvious thing is obviously you can set how difficult the drivers are, the drivatars that you're going against.
Yeah.
Right? And you can move that up and down the scale as you see fit. But you can also change things like how much braking assist that it has and that kind of stuff.
Which
and
makes it feel less arcadey.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Huh.
And so you have this, there's a flexibility to the game, dynamics and difficulty that I really appreciate because it sort of means that as a player, you can twist the game to be the kind of racing game you like.
Right. I love it. So this sounds absolutely fantastic.
And you can play it all cooperatively or competitively. So I can go in, let's say you and I are in the shared world. The shared
Yeah.
world contains 72 racers. They're kind of ghost images going around. You could team up with them, get them into your convoy. But let's say you and I, Ben, are on a team and we want to like be cooperative.
Yeah.
Hey Ben,
It'll make
you want
the
to do
game-
co-op?
Yes.
It's great that you're racing with your friend. It makes the game more challenging because the rewind
Yeah.
functionality is gone.
Oh,
It
interesting.
just kind of places you back when you hit that now. And that's
Right.
like, you're not gaining anything from that. You're just being placed behind the pack. But they reward you better in that. But if you want to be competitive, you and I could go into that race together, be against each other, but both still get progress. So no matter what you do in this game, win or lose, place first or 12th in a race, it's going to say, hey, good job. You finished that race. Here's the gold medal for completion that you completed this challenge. Go on to the next
Yeah.
one. We'll unlock
Yeah.
the other ones for
And
you.
I was playing with Reiner and like totally biffed it and very once in a lifetime thing, like screwed up, and I
my
ended up
God.
You've
seventh.
never
Yeah,
wrecked
I
in a
almost
car
always
racing
get
game
first,
before.
Yeah.
You got
but
some lag or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
think
was
that's what happened.
my cat chewed on the controller. Anyway, I got 7th place, but Reiner got first, and so it kind of like evened out, and we still won
Okay.
that match, which was cool.
I heard that the co-op, it takes a long time to unlock or something.
So the beginning, since there's 4 seasons, they wanted to kind of give you a taste of all of it out of the gate.
Okay.
So you're shifting from one season to the next, starting with I think it's spring, and then you eventually get all the way to winter, and then kind of roll back around to year 2 of the competition.
Okay.
But in that time, stuff is gated off. Like there's a lot of content in the game, and like Team Adventure, that's locked off. Some of the multiplayer stuff is locked off. Forzathon, which is a new hourly event that just randomly appears on the map, and that's like I was
so
talking
cool.
about the shared world,
Yeah.
72 racers. They can all converge on that to take part in this like a scoring challenge, like speed trap. How fast can you get from point A to point B? Your time, 110 miles an hour, is added to the pool, and you got to
Right.
hit 5,000 total.
Okay.
So you're all racing to do those events.
And so how long does it take?
3 to 5 hours, they say.
It's been long. It was longer for me.
I feel like long goes at one point in the seasons you unlock the ability to like have people invited to your game, and so like me and Miller were like, oh cool, we unlocked multiplayer, and so we were able to jump into each other's world, but we weren't able to actually like do any races together.
You could get in a convoy together, but
Yeah.
then you can't be on the same team until you unlock certain aspects.
I would say this was the one thing of all the things I really like about this game. For me personally, the opaque nature of some of that multiplayer stuff early on
Right.
bothered me because I literally one evening or in the when we were first getting started in the game, Ben and I were trying to do this, and we just couldn't figure out what was going on. What are these different terms mean?
Yeah, teams versus
convoys versus
yeah,
my
Yeah.
adventure versus
Yeah.
Forzathon, like all
Forza
these
Life,
different
yeah.
things that aren't really clarified for you, and ultimately it was like my buddy and I want to go play in this racing game together. Why can't we
Yeah.
do that?
Okay.
I think that's the only bummer is like
That-
if
yeah.
you are looking to play with your friends, like expect that you got to like invest a couple hours.
Yeah.
But I mean those hours are fun.
They
I
are,
mean, you're playing
absolutely.
Forza, it's
You're
a fun
playing a great
game.
racing
But
game,
if you
yeah.
want to play
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
friends, just
Yeah.
no, you can't do that right
Yeah,
out
make
of
sure
the
you,
gate.
you put like 6 hours into it before you do that.
Right.
The other thing that's kind of a bummer is those 26 campaigns I'm talking about. Some of those are great. Other ones are like dedicated to like Mixer. So they want you to play through Mixer, which will enhance your game. You'll get more currency
Mixer's
and
a streaming
followers.
service.
Yeah, so they want you to stream online to fill this campaign, to level up in this campaign.
That's kind of gross.
Another one is like tuning cars. You know, if you don't want
Uh-huh.
to do that, they kind of force your hand in that. If you're going for the completionist run, and then there's, you know, like vinyls, making, you know, painting cars, doing all that stuff.
Okay.
So they get pretty thick in the weeds of like trying to force you into everything.
Well, it's called Forza.
But the ones that are focused on the racing and the stories are very good.
Okay.
And there's a lot of it, right? I mean, you're talking about without ever touching any of those, because a lot of those don't sound great to me either. But I've spent many hours in this game and never touched that stuff yet.
But if you do go on there and you just mess around, you're going to level up, right? So
Right.
you're like, oh, cool. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I just got a wheel spin
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
a new
yeah.
car.
I was still earning credits and like experience. Even that one time, I got
Right.
7th place.
I
So
think it's important to stress too, because everybody just sees it as an Xbox game, but like this is also on PC. Everybody,
yeah.
like it's and cross-platform play.
And it comes out October 2nd.
Okay.
The last point, the negative point I have is fast travel is still a bit of a pain. You got to buy these houses. In the last game, they had the Forza festival sites.
Right.
There's just one now, a central festival site. Now you're buying houses, and they cost a lot of money in certain areas. But if you have like an event that's 4.5 miles away, you got to drive to it
Okay.
until you get a house that's closer in the vicinity. But as you're driving to that, you're going to get so distracted because there's so much to do, like billboards to track down,
Yeah.
you know, hidden garages that hold cars that you got to find in the wilderness. So it's not like the drive's uneventful,
Right.
but you do have to just kind of aimlessly drive for
There's
a
gonna be a
while.
lot of it. You know, what's really exciting, and it's kind of the undercurrent of this entire conversation is talking about how much stuff to do there is, how it nails, in theory, open world activities. Is it's rumored that this is the team working on a new Fable game.
Oh, yeah.
And thinking about just them nailing the open world like this and just the density. Good God.
Well, that density is exciting, and I think one of the things that I have been most excited about in some of the games that have come out recently is the idea of some of these dynamic content things that are changing over time.
Mm-hmm.
The recognition that with a lot of games, you're going to have people who are playing every day for weeks, right? And that they want to be able to come back a week later and have something be different. And that's what Forza Horizon 4 does. This whole season thing gives you this sense of progression over time and that the game world is changing.
And that's a very Fable thing.
And that would be awesome
Yeah.
in a game like in a like fantasy RPG to have that kind of dynamic.
Even just based on the tech they have in Forza, it's like one of the best looking games out there, and just like it runs super smooth and giant open world. Like it just looks cool. So even just having that tech underneath a Fable game seems like a win-win to me.
Oh, that's exciting. Reiner, your reviews on the site?
Yes.
That was just a clip from a larger show called The Game Informer Show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, or GameInformer.com. We take the fun opportunities and exclusive information from Game Informer magazine and boil it into a show that airs every Thursday with exclusive cover story information, developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So come love games with us.